Hey guys, it's Stacy here. Welcome to my channel, Life's a Project. So if you're new to my channel, I live in Kentucky. I'm a zone 6 and I passed my last frost date. I am super excited to get into these bottles, so I'm feeling pretty good about opening them up and getting these seedlings planted into the garden space. Now, if you missed it, these bottles are my winter sowing project. I sowed seeds in these bottles to try to get a jump start on this year's garden. So today's the day for the big reveal. You don't want to miss it, so let's get to it. So these smaller containers here were round 1 of winter sowing. I sowed hardier plants like perennial flowers for the cut flower garden and some kale for the veggie garden. Now this one is snapdragons and it's looking pretty good from what I can see from here. Now you can see the duct tape works really good, and that's what you want to use to make sure that your bottles stay closed, because it is super sticky and pretty hard to get off of here. Now here in the back, there's a little small piece of plastic to act as a hinge, just using some scissors to kind of cut that top off. Now look guys, these look fantastic. You can see several seedlings in this one container. I'll be able to separate these out. Now they do look a little leggy, but that is okay. They should do just fine. So really happy with this first one. Let's see what else is going on. So the next one here is another snapdragon container. So let's see what this one looks like. Now this container looking just as good. Several seedlings that I can separate out and plant into the garden for my cut flower garden. So let's see what's next. So this one here is a carnation. So let's see what we got. So these carnations look great, and they really do have a great root system as well. And I'm really happy with these so far. I think I have several of these to go into the garden. So let's see what's next. So this is one of the 2 kale plants that germinated. Now I planted a 3rd bottle of kale. It was a dud. It did not germinate. Sometimes that happens. You win some, you lose some. But this one is looking great. The leaves look nice and green. It looks really happy. So I'm happy with this plant. It has a really nice root system as well. So happy with this one. So let's see what else we got going on. So the next one here is straw flowers. Let's take a look. So these straw flowers are looking great, and I had several of these come up. So now let's look at some pansies. Now these pansies are looking fantastic as well. I have 2 in here. These are growing so great. Now I have several of these, I think, in the other bottle, so I'll have plenty to plant out in another container, because pansies are not really suited for a cut flower garden, so I'll just plant them elsewhere. So now I'm to my 2nd round of winter sowing, the larger bottles, more tender things, and this one is about to bust out of here. It is a fast grower, and you can see this awesome root system, so let's get into this one. So in this container is sunflowers, and I see a really large one here and a smaller one as well, looking really good. And guys, I'm not going to open every single bottle on video. That would just take way too much time. So this one, I'm happy with it. Let's get on to the next one. So this one here, I've been really excited to open. This one is my zucchini plants. So let's see what they look like. This zucchini looks fantastic in here. Look how fast these plants grow. There's 2 seedlings in here, so I definitely got a jump start on my zucchini growing season. Now some of these leaves were damaged because they got so long in here and the bottle's just not big enough, but you can see some of the smaller leaves, and it doesn't hurt it one bit when a zucchini leaf gets damaged. You can just kind of pop them off. So really happy with this one. Now on to the next one. this one is another sunflower, it looks like, and it looks really good. So another nice sunflower seedling. So the next one here is a tomato plant, and my tomato and pepper plants, slower growers, they are still pretty small, and normally you would want larger plants to put out into the garden, but you know what, I'm so ready for them to come out of these bottles. And I'm not opposed to buying a plant at the store, but there's just something about watching your plants grow that you started from seed. So I'm just going to plant these out and let them do their thing. So I have this large container here. I want to plant both of my zucchini seedlings in here. Now, winter sowing in these smaller bottles like this really does work out great. You can really remove the plant so easily, just like if it was a nursery pot. Now I just have to separate the seedling. You just want to work your fingers in between the plants and gently separate the root system. And then I've already made 2 planting holes, and I just have to plant this little guy in here and backfill around the root ball. Now in this container I have some organic Miracle-Gro potting mix or container mix, and it already has plant food mixed in. So I'm really happy that I only planted 2 to 3 seeds in my winter sowing bottles, because if you plant them too full, it really is a pain to kind of try to separate all of them out. And a lot of these plants would not be happy crammed into a smaller bottle if I had planted a ton of seeds in each one. So I want to plant up these strawflower seedlings. Now to the left I have these sunflower seedlings, 3 here looking great, and I've already planted my sunflower seeds in here as well. Now these strawflowers did so great. I had pretty much all of their containers germinated, so I don't think I'll have to plant out any more strawflower seeds. Now I have 2 seedlings growing in this container. I'll have to separate them out. Again, just work that root ball apart, and then I can just plant them up. And with spacing in a cut flower garden, I'm not as worried about it because I'll be cutting the blooms. So I've already planted 4 of the zinnia seedlings that were in the winter sowing bottles. They're in the multicolor, and I went ahead and made some little trenches here to sow some more seeds. So these are the zinnia California Giants in the multicolors. Now to my left, I already planted some green envy zinnia seeds. Those didn't do as well in the winter sowing, so I have to grow them from seed. So I'm just planting some seeds here, spacing them out some so they're not too crowded. Again, not so worried about spacing in my cut flower garden, but I want them to grow in really full because I want to have a lot of blooms for cutting. So once the seeds are down, then I just have to cover them lightly, and then I can just water everything in. So all of my winter sowing bottles are opened, and those seedlings planted into the garden space that I actually wanted to plant in here. There's a few, and I'll share those with you in just a minute, that I'll plant elsewhere. Now overall, really happy with this year's winter sowing project. So this container is full of peppers, and guys, they are super small, so it's probably hard to see them, but I just really wanted to get them out of their winter sowing bottles because usually at this size they need more time to grow before transplanting them out. But I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. So I have a few bell pepper plants in here, some California Wander, and 2 from organic peppers that I saved seeds from the grocery store. They germinated and are in here, and then I have some banana pepper plants as well. Now in this container, 2 tomato plants. Now I just wanted to share with you that you can reuse the top portion of your winter sowing bottles to give your plants some protection at night if the temperatures happen to dip down a little colder than you expected them to. Now this one is a beefsteak tomato plant, and over here I have a determinate tomato plant called Geranium Kiss. So this one should mature a little faster because these plants, again, are small, so it'll take a little time to get some fruit production. So So in this first container, I planted it up as one of my cut flower garden containers. And the first section here, I planted all of the Snapdragon seedlings. And guys, they did fantastic. Using this winter sowing method, I think the Snapdragons took first place. I got so many seedlings from the winter sowing method, planted all of them in here. I don't think I'll have to plant any Snapdragon seeds, so really happy with these. Now some of them look a little pitiful and limp at the moment because they are suffering from transplant shock, so it's not uncommon and they will perk up in a couple of days. You just have to make sure you water everything in, and I've done that, so they should be just fine. So I've already shared with you this section where I planted the zinnia seeds, the green and the multi, and planted these multi zinnia plants, and they look a little limp. Their stems will get strong as they experience the wind. They were protected a little bit from being inside the bottles. And in this section, I planted some dahlia seeds, and I only got one little seedling there in the winter sowing method. So I planted that in the corner, but the rest of the space I planted with the seeds. So this container is planted up. Now it's on to the next one. So this second container here will be number 2 for my cut flower garden. So I planted in this section, I shared with you earlier, 3 sunflower seedlings from the winter sowing bottles, and beneath that planted more sunflower seeds. And these sunflowers are not really big and huge. These are a dwarf variety. These will be great for a cut flower garden. So you've seen these earlier, these straw flowers I planted next to the sunflowers. I have all of their seedlings planted, and they did great with the winter sowing method. Now these straw flowers are great as cut flowers and also as dried flowers, so really excited to grow these. So next to the straw flowers, I planted Crispidia. Now I got 3 small seedlings using the winter sowing method, so I planted those here, and again also planted Crispidia seeds. Now guys, it's not a bad idea when you plant flowers for a cut flower garden to plant seedlings and some seeds. Why not? You'll just have those growing, and you'll always have fresh blooms later on in the season. So in this section, I need to tag it. I planted some Cosmos seeds because those didn't do very well with the winter sowing method, and I planted some more sunflower seeds. Now these next 2 containers I shared with you in past videos. Look how great these carrots and peas are doing. They are looking fantastic. And in this next container, I planted lettuce and spinach. And both of those containers I just planted from seed, directly sown them in early March, and they are doing fantastic. Now in this next container, my Carnation Seedlings with the winter sowing method did so great. I have too many, so I will be planting up these 2 small containers with carnations, the ones left in these bottles, and giving them away. So you can see in this container here on the right, several Carnation Seedlings from the winter sowing method. They did fantastic. Super happy with these. And I just had too many, and I didn't want to overcrowd them. There's enough in here. And these I think will do very well. Now next to those are the Canterbury Bells. I had 4 of those. They are a biannual plant, so I may not get blooms this year. Probably just foliage growth, but they should survive until next year. Now down here, this is a Tiny Tim tomato seedling using the winter sowing method. Now it's small now, but this is a dwarf variety that does not get very tall, more like kind of a bush variety. Now here I planted the Basil seedlings from the winter sowing method. I got 3 of those. And then over here, the 2 kale seedlings that I got, planted those in this space. So really happy with this container. It's kind of half cut flower garden, half veggie garden. And then over here, last but not least, the 2 zucchini plants looking good in this container. And then over here in this space, I plan to share with you planting up my GreenStalk or vertical garden. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video seeing my seedlings from the winter sowing method. I hope you give this method a try next year. I think you'll be happy with it and pleasantly surprised. So guys, if you have any questions or comments, place those down in the comment section below. I hope you will subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Pinterest, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.